Hey everybody, welcome to Sunday School, the recap video for lesson 15. So we did that on November 22nd, and if you didn't make it to Sunday School or you just need a refresher, that's what this video is for. So we've looked at the story of the Israelites through the Old Testament, and we saw, Noah and Abraham and Adam and Eve and all these stories of historical figures in the Bible that also God used in certain ways, and then can also teach us lessons now, thousands of years later. And so we have another one of those stories today that are kind of in this line of just continuing our trek through the Old Testament and seeing God's story with his people and his redemption and the gospel in the Old and New Testament. So we have another great story. And so 2 weeks ago we were in Judges, and we talked about what the judges did and how they were kind of just over the people of Israel, not like a king, more like a community figure that's just doing certain things in the community, helping people stay on track with what they're supposed to be doing, those kinds of things. So we're still in that period of the Judges, and now we're in the story of Ruth. So I don't know if you know the story of Ruth. It's a very interesting story, and I hope you get to read it all. But so Ruth was a woman of Moab. That's what it says in the Bible, a woman of Moab. And she lived in Moab for about 10 years, is what Ruth 1:4 says. And so Ruth lived there during the time of the Judges, and she had married a son of an Israelite family while they were living in Moab. But at some point, her father-in-law, her husband, and her husband's only brother died. And so Ruth had to make a difficult decision. It was either to stay in Moab, her home, where she'd been married there for 10 years, or to go with her mother-in-law, Naomi, to a land she had never known before, which is Judah. And so Ruth loved her mother-in-law, and she had great compassion for her, seeing that she had lost her husband and her sons, right? And, Orpah made a decision to stay with the people of Moab, but Ruth could not bear to leave Naomi alone. She loved her. And so together they journeyed back to Judah, to Bethlehem, and they decided to settle there. And so Ruth's testimony spread, and Boaz, I'm sure you guys have heard of Boaz. He was the owner of a nearby field, and Boaz heard of how she was faithful to her mother-in-law. And so, it was recorded, let's see, that's Ruth 2:11-12, it says, Boaz answered her, all that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband has been fully told to me, and how you left your father and mother and your native land to come to a people that you did not know before. The Lord repay you for what you, I can't get it to load. The Lord repay you for what you have done, and full reward will be given to you by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings have come to take refuge. So Boaz heard of what Ruth did, how she was there to take care of her mother-in-law. And so the custom in Israel, I don't know if you guys have heard, but it's called kinsman redeemer. And so a man was supposed to take his deceased brother's wife and marry her and continue that family line. And so since Ruth's husband's brothers were also dead, she and Naomi basically had to take care of themselves. And so Ruth went every day to glean from the fields, and that's basically pick what was left off the ground and off the branches, just pick what was left to provide for her and Naomi. And so she found work in Boaz's field. And Boaz returned home and noticed Ruth and asked people about who she was, asked some of the farmers, I guess, reapers is the word, about who she was. And so, Boaz told Ruth, use my fields, remain in these fields, get what you can from them. But he also warned the young men that were working in the fields not to mess her, not to touch with her. And so, Ruth, she was humbled, right? She was so appreciative. And, she asked Boaz, why would you show favor to me, a foreigner? And Boaz basically pointed out because she was so faithful to her mother-in-law. So in Ruth 2:10-13, it says, then she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, and said to him, Why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner? But Boaz answered her, all that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband has been fully told to me, and how you left your father and mother and your native land to come to a people that you did not know before. The Lord repay you for what you have done, and a full reward were given you by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge. Then she said, I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, for you have comforted me and spoken kindly to your servant, though I am not one of your servants. So, eventually we get to a point in the story where Boaz married Ruth. He was her kinsman redeemer. And so there was even a closer relative to Ruth in the story. And so, Boaz met with the other relative to get basically permission from him to marry Ruth, because he saw the type of woman that she was and wanted to be there for her, to support her, to love her, and eventually to marry her. So in all this, Ruth trusted the Lord no matter what, no matter going to a new land, being without her husband or her family or her husband's brothers, who would have been the ones to redeem her, basically to take care of her. And so because she trusted God in all of this, she eventually met Boaz. And it was a beautiful story of Ruth being brought into this family, and even into the family of God, and was a redeemed individual. And so we get this beautiful story of Ruth, and we see what God did in her life. But in Ruth's time, when an Israelite fell in hard times, they might have had to mortgage their land for extra money. Something that Naomi's husband probably had to do. And to get their land back, that person would have to basically repay the loan. And so that's what Boaz did. Boaz purchased the land and paid off their debts and redeemed them, right? Like physically, but was also there for spiritually. And so let me read something real quick in Revelation to kind of tie it all together. So Revelation 9 and 10, it says, and they sang a new song with these words, you are worthy to take the scroll and break its seals and open it. For you were slaughtered, and your blood has ransomed people for God from every tribe and language and people and nation. And you have caused them to become a kingdom of priests for our God, and they will reign on earth. And so what this is saying is Jesus paid the debt of all people, right? He paid their debt. He died for their sins. He redeemed. He is the Redeemer, right? And so we have to accept that gift, right? We have to see the importance of God and what he did and what Jesus did on the cross. And we can be redeemed, spiritually or physically by trusting God in our future, and spiritually in God by trusting our forever future with God. It's a beautiful story, and it connects with us perfectly because we are people that need to be redeemed also. And Boaz was her redeemer. And also, she had a relationship with God, which was just as important as our ability to have a relationship with God. So God is our Redeemer through Jesus Christ. We found a kind of an earthly story of how that happened in Ruth and Boaz. And I hope that's just an encouragement to you guys about how God works in people's lives. I hope he's working in your life. He's working in my life. I know that for sure. So I love you guys. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, just hit me up. You guys have my number. But other than that, like, comment, and click that bell. No, I'm just kidding. It don't matter. But I love you guys, and I'll see you later.